Hello, friends. I would like to welcome you to a special podcast sponsored by Leader Impact in the Czech Republic. Leader Impact is an organization that is committed to developing leaders personally, professionally, and spiritually. My name is Terry Brown. I work with Leader Impact, and my special guest today is a successful American entrepreneur, developer, investor, business leader, and Christian, Alan Morris. Alan, welcome to Prague and to our Prague studio here.
It's great to be with you here in Prague.
Alan, we're recording in Prague where you are giving several talks the next couple of days. One of your talks on Tuesday is open to the public. So if any of our listeners or viewers would like to attend, you are welcome. We will include the details in the video description. So, Alan, it is great to have you here. I know you've been to Prague before. What is your impression of Prague?
Well, I love the beauty of the architecture. The history of Prague is extraordinary. And being a real estate developer who designs and develops buildings in America, I take a lot of inspiration from the beauty of the buildings throughout Europe. And Prague is just uniquely beautiful in its architecture, especially the old city inspires me a great deal.
History means something here, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's history is a joke in America where we have 200 years of history instead of 2,000 years of history in Prague.
If you would, Alan, tell us a little bit about your family.
Great. Well, I am a husband and father. I have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. And my wife comes from a previous marriage, has 2 daughters. So basically, I'm a father of 6. So I stay very busy as a father, and actually 3 grandchildren with 2 more on the way. So
yeah, I have heard you have 2 that are coming pretty quick, don't you?
Yes, they're due on October 1st. 2 sons, my sons and his wife are expecting to have twins October 1st.
Oh, that's great.
So
now, your son works with you in the business.
He is now the president of our company. He worked with us, and then I sent him to one of our partners to work in their company for several years, and he's come back and worked his way up in our business, and now he's president, and now I'm happily the CEO and chairman, having given up the title of president gratefully after being president for over 40 years. That's been
You were ready to give that president up.
Yes.
If you would, Alan, tell us what does the Alan Morris Company do? How would you?
Good question. We are in the commercial real estate business, headquartered in Miami, and we operate around the southeastern United States. We are commercial real estate brokers, leasing agents, property managers, and probably most importantly, developers. And we've probably developed more office buildings than anyone in the state of Florida, and also are developing multifamily rental apartments and also office buildings and also hotels. So we have just completed our 91st development project and have broken ground on our 93rd project, which is under construction. 92 and 93 are under construction.
Your company has been busy. Wow.
Yes.
And if you would, tell me a little bit about the Alhambra Towers, I believe.
Yes, Alhambra Towers is our headquarters building that we developed in Coral Gables, Florida, which is a suburb of Miami. And it was unique as part of an inspiration of the new mission of our company to create things that were built out of passion and design. And it's inspired by the great cathedrals of Spain.
Wow.
And it is a triangular-shaped building in downtown Coral Gables. And we've been fortunate to receive 10 awards for the building, as well as one of them being the #1 top commercial building in the state of Florida.
Oh, that's tremendous. And your offices are located there, aren't they?
That's our headquarters building, yes.
Has your company, Alan, made any changes in the last 5-10 years that
Well, we're always changing. The world is always changing. And as any business, we have to be responsive to the changes that we are experiencing and that we foresee coming up. And one of the changes that we made, instead of just developing office buildings, was to shift to become developers of multifamily apartments and luxury condominiums and hotels, which we did not do before. And now about 80% of our developments are multifamily apartments or condominiums, luxury condominiums.
And that's shifted a good bit over the last several years as far as the needs.
Yeah, and there's great demand as people are moving into the southeastern United States, moving into Atlanta, moving into Orlando, moving into our headquarters areas, Miami. But we operate in all the cities around the state of Florida. The Florida is now 21 million people, and it's one of the largest economies in the world, just the state of Florida. So it's a very serious business center and population center in the United States.
And you also have offices in Atlanta, is that correct?
Yes, also in Atlanta, and we're developing around the city of Atlanta, but our primary development is a multi-phase development in West Midtown Atlanta, next to the campus of Georgia Tech, where I went to college. My father went to college, to the university, and I'm also on the board of trustees for Georgia Tech.
Must be special for you to have something there close to Georgia Tech.
I love it.
In your book, All In, and I'm a great fan of this book. I'll show it here. This is a book I just read, and it's a great book.
Thank you.
In this book, you write about changing your mission statement.
Yes.
And after one you'd had for a while, and you changed it, I think, fairly recently. Could you tell us about that change, how that happened, and what your new mission statement is?
Well, when I developed our company's mission statement many years ago, I thought it was a great mission statement. It talked about all the things we aspired to, and I actually stole some of the language from Goldman Sachs' mission statement because I liked the way they wrote theirs. And we had it framed on the wall in our conference room. But if you put me in front of a firing squad and said, quote your mission statement to us, I'd have to say, just shoot me.
No, I can't.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
And when I went through a period when I was 47 years old where I actually got burned out from my many overcommitments and the pressure of running my business and the pressure of the competition and the regulations and the personnel issues and everything going on that happened to us in running a business. I decided I'd be happy just to close the doors of the company. You know, we've had a great success and a great ride, and I don't need to keep working. But I thought, if we were to change our company, what would make me so excited that I would want to come back to work and be excited about getting out of bed and getting to the office in the morning? And as I thought about it, I brought our leadership team together, and we took a retreat to discuss what our new mission statement should be. And we thought it would take months to accomplish this. And it all came together in one day. And we'd reduced and simplified our mission statement to 3 words: inspire, impress, and improve. We wanted to inspire people with the beauty of our projects. In other words, if a building did not inspire us, it's not likely to inspire anyone else.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to inspire people with each project that we build. And if a project did not inspire us, we would just say no and not build it, no matter how profitable it was. And the second was we wanted to impress people with the excellence of their experience, whether they were a tenant in our office building, a resident in our apartments, or were a guest in one of our hotels. We wanted to impress them with the excellence of their experience. And thirdly, we wanted to improve the lives of everyone we touched. And that meant the residents and tenants in our buildings, to improve their lives, the neighbors that lived around the building, the community in which it's built, and the city in which it's built, to hopefully be an influence for good in their lives, whether it was the architect or the contractor or everybody involved in the building. That's our aspiration, to inspire, impress, and improve. And because of that, The first of those buildings was Alhambra Towers, which is the one that's won 10 awards.
Oh, that's great. I expect if you were in front of a firing squad, you could say those 3 I's pretty
I could say those 3 I's. I may I may stumble, but yes.
As a business owner and CEO, Alan, you must make difficult decisions. Can you share maybe 1 or 2 difficult decisions maybe in the last several years that you've made and your perspective on making difficult decisions?
Well, I think one example of a difficult decision that people can relate to is when you face a downturn in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
We had an office building in Brickell's in the city of Miami's financial district called Brickell Avenue. And it was a large office building with 2 main tenants in it, a major American insurance company and a major government agency. And the 2 of them filled the building, and they were paying lots of rent every month. And they both decided they were going to move into their own buildings, one in another city and the other in downtown Miami. And so they changed their leases to a month-to-month lease,
Mm-hmm.
and we were happy to do that for them. What we did not anticipate was both of their new buildings would be finished at the same time, and both of those tenants moved out the same month. And we went from a building that was 101% leased to 1% leased.
Wow.
And I learned the experience of positive leverage and negative leverage. Negative leverage is when you have to pay the insurance, the taxes, the mortgage payments, and you have no income.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to know during that time, I slept like a baby. I would sleep for an hour and get up and cry for an hour and sleep for an hour, and it was painful.
Mm-hmm.
It was painful.
Understand.
But one of the things that I decided was not to panic, as painful as it was, and to stay open for what might come
Mm-hmm.
as a result of this business crisis. And as it turns out, another government agency, the United States Coast Guard, had to move out of their building that they discovered had asbestos in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they came, and I spoke with them about moving into some space in our building. They were so excited that our building was completely empty that they said they would like to move their whole operation into our building. And the 7th Fleet of the United States Coast Guard is now the occupier and owner of that building.
Really?
They asked if I would sell it instead of leasing it. I said I had not intended to, but yes, sir, we will sell you the building, and we did, and it was a great success for us and for them. And interestingly, sometimes a thing we think is a great tragedy and a crisis turns out to be the greatest benefit.
Yeah.
And it did in this case.
Started to say you probably didn't wake up crying anymore after
No.
that. Helped a little bit there.
I rolled over and thought, oh, that did work out. Yes.
That is great. Yeah. Maybe not unusual question, but how do you deal with failure as a CEO or as a business leader when things don't? You shared that, but what's your perspective on that when you?
Well, we all have to face failure.
Yeah.
I hate failure. I do everything I can to avoid failure.
Me too.
And I am driven with the fear of failure more than I would like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of my friends in business are the same, where they are driven by a fear of failure. And I've come to believe that when I do everything I can do, but still, in spite of that, sometimes it's things beyond our control.
Yeah.
Like a change in government regulations,
Mm-hmm.
or a change in permitting regulations, or a change in the federal tax law,
Mm-hmm.
or things beyond our control, a financial meltdown. I had a situation like that in, in 2008, when I had just planned to develop a beautiful office building. And it had all been approved by the city. I had all of my permits. I had a joint venture partner
Mm-hmm.
to invest alongside my family, who was the second wealthiest man in all of Latin America,
Mm-hmm.
who was a tenant in my building as well. We had the commitment of two major corporations that were going to lease space in the building, and I had purchased the land for $24 million with all of these guarantees. We had a commitment from our bank for the loan, for the development, and the financial meltdown happened, and everyone defaulted on me. I had done everything right in my way of thinking, but everyone defaulted, and I was left with a brand new, beautiful site that I had just paid $24 million for, and the bank failed, was taken over by another bank, and they had their appraiser come and value our property for $9.5 million.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And
big difference there.
And so we negotiated with the bank. We paid down the loan somewhat, and they were willing to stay with us because they wanted us, the new bank that took over the old bank, wanted us as a customer, thankfully. And as it turns out, through the financial global meltdown that occurred in those years, my neighboring property owner had a property I wanted to buy, and I approached them to see if they would sell it to put the two properties together. And they came back to me and said, "No, we don't want to sell, but we'd really like to buy your property." And so I said, "Well, it's my seed. I'm like a farmer with seed corn. I can't sell my seed corn because I'm a developer, and that's where my profit is. I'd have to put too high of a price on the property." And they said, "We will not be offended." So I said, "Okay, I would need to get $33 million for it." And they bought the property for $33 million. And I didn't know how that would turn out at the time, but it turned out fine.
You came away with about a $9 million
That's right. And so then we rolled that into property across the street, where we're now going to be developing a new luxury condominium that we've announced, and we'll start construction on that project with the money from that sale to build this new project across the street that we'll break ground on by the end of this year.
Worked out well for you.
So you never know.
You don't.
Our failures, in our control or outside of our control, if we don't panic, sometimes have great things. And one of the personal benefits of that experience was not just that it worked out, and you never know if it will or how it will, but it was a very humbling experience for me because I had announced this big building at a big, big function in the community, and it wasn't a bad thing. It didn't hurt me to be humbled by that experience. Because we can often build these big buildings and think that we're very, very important. And sometimes being humbled by facing our failures can be the best thing that can happen to us. Certainly, it was one of the best things to happen to me.
Good perspective. Yeah. Alan, after many years as a successful business owner and CEO, what advice would you give a person who's just starting their business career?
Well, for anyone starting their business career, I would say the most important thing to me was when I started my career, was to try to learn everything I could learn about the business, to know more than anyone else, to commit to being the best that I could be in that specialty, in office buildings, in office leasing, in commercial real estate investment and commercial real estate development. That was an important commitment because there were many people much older than me with much more experience that I was going to be competing with. And I had to earn their respect by knowing as much as I knew, reading everything I can read, studying everything I could study, staying open to learning the newest and best things. And eventually I found myself being the authority on those subjects. And so if you want to succeed in a business, dive into it with both feet, as I would say, go all in that specialty, whatever it is, so that you are the authority on that specialty. And it could be anything in medicine, or it could be in fashion, or it could be in marketing, or it can be in sales. to be the best that you can be.
To know the business you're in there. Mm-hmm. Alan, could you tell us, switching maybe to a little different topic, but in your book, All In, again, which I highly recommend, and I like your subtitle here, How to Risk Everything for Everything That Matters. That's a great statement. Could you tell us about the book and why you wrote the book?
Yes. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I got to a point when I was 47 years old when I got burned out. I actually started having severe headaches, and I was having some problems at home. I was having some problems with some of the senior executives, a couple of the senior executives in my company. I was having problems in the economy, and I started having these headaches that were 24-hour-a-day severe headaches. And I was waking up in the middle of the night, taking my Excedrin, waking up in the morning at 6 o'clock with a headache and taking my Excedrin. I clearly knew this was not right. So I went to the head of neurosurgery at my hospital, and after interviewing me, he said, Alan, I'll tell you right now, with your symptoms, you've got a brain tumor. So let's do the MRI and see where your tumor is, and then we'll know what our options are. So I went through the MRI and other testing for 3 weeks, CAT scan and others, and the surgeon came back to me. He said, Alan, I don't know what to tell you, but your tumor is not there. And I said, well, why are you calling it my tumor if it's not there? He had no sense of humor. He said, I can give you muscle relaxants and beta blockers and pain meds so you won't be in any pain. And I said, is that the best you've got? You're telling me there's no physical cause for this severe pain, and yet you're going to give me medications to mask the pain. And I said, I've got to get to the bottom of this. I've got to find out how somehow I must be causing these severe headaches. And so I decided to make this my number one goal in life. And I hired a former executive to come back in and run my business for 3 months while I took a 3-month sabbatical. I hired a counselor and a coach to give me assignments every day as my full-time occupation to go deep into understanding myself. And that became my journey. And the journey of 3 months turned into a sabbatical of 3 years. And it was an extraordinary experience of going on retreats, journaling. Actually, one of the assignments was to go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, AA meetings, which I was terrified to do that.
I can understand.
Because what do I do if I show up at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and somebody recognizes me there? Because I was concerned about my reputation.
Yeah, I understand.
And I asked my coach, he said, why would you want me to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting? I'm not an alcoholic. He said, because God is there. And I said, oh, great. I've got to go to an AA meeting because God is there. And I went to an AA meeting with a group of my fellow CEOs who said they would be willing to go with me to a meeting. And I was astonished to hear the honesty and the authenticity of people sharing their stories of how they had ruined their lives because of their addictions.
Yeah.
And it was such a humbling, beautiful, authentic experience. And my coach assigned me the responsibility to go to 60 meetings in 60 days, which I couldn't imagine doing, but I kept going after that. And I did it and continued, and that was just one of many assignments that they gave me, my coach and my counselor. And it was a journey of discovery. And now I have hosted hundreds of retreats for hundreds and hundreds of business leaders in Miami and in Florida and in North Carolina in the United States, where we have a retreat house on the beach in Key Largo and one in the mountains of North Carolina. And we've seen people experience a wonderful life change and freedom from their experience. And so rather than someone having to take a 3-year sabbatical to make this journey of discovery, I wanted to write the book. I shared it in my early stages, my journey, with one of my mentors. And he said, Alan, you've got to write a book about this. This would help so many men. And I said, I've only been doing this for 8 months. I couldn't even write the preface. Well, during COVID, my wife said, 20 years later, it's time to write the book, Alan. So I did. And I've been gratified that it's been very meaningful in the lives of many people.
It's a great book. It's meant a lot to me. I just finished your book, so it's an excellent read. You write very easy. You write in an easy way to read, so that makes it very easy to follow and read. So,
thank you.
In your book, you talk about transparency. Transparency is an important part of the story there. Being transparent is difficult for many people, me included.
Yes.
How did you learn to be more transparent, and how has it helped you in your personal and your business life?
Well, I think there's different levels of transparency that are appropriate for different situations. And we all have roles that we play in our business, in our community, and we have maybe a persona that goes along with those roles. As a parent as well, as a husband or as a wife, we have certain roles. But I believe that the more that we can be appropriately in our roles, transparent with who we really are as a person and what we really feel as a person, the more we will have authentic relationships with other people instead of superficial relationships with other people. And with that comes a deeper level of healing in our lives and more authentic relationships in our lives than just cocktail party conversation that may be meaningless, where we can really connect with other people in a different level, a deeper level.
A deeper level. That's great. I know, knowing you a little bit, I know that part of your life is the spiritual aspect of your life is very important to you. Could you tell us a little about your spiritual journey?
Certainly. Well, a lot of this journey that I describe in All In is about psychological awareness and psychology, but it's more than that. It's also a spiritual journey, I found. And a spiritual journey is to discover that God does love us and that God loved me. And sometimes the things that happened in my life and the pain that I was experiencing that I brought on myself was a reminder to get my attention. The Oxford scholar and agnostic who later became a Christian, C.S. Lewis, described it in his book, The Problem of Pain, that pain can be God's megaphone to get our attention for the things that really matter in our lives. And that was certainly true of me with the severe headaches that I had. And actually, as I started my journey of self-awareness and relieved of the responsibilities of the business temporarily, I just found a great freedom to embrace whatever God had for me and how He wanted to open me to His messages for me in my life. And that was the beginning of a new level of freedom. And so I would say that in this journey, I began to see in a whole new way God's love for me and His plan for my life. And that's summarized really in 4 principles. Number 1, that God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life. That man, being me, I was sinful and separated from God. Therefore, I could not know and experience God's love and plan for my life. And thirdly, that Jesus Christ is God's only provision for my being reconciled to God and to have a personal relationship with God. Not a subjective relationship, but an actually personal relationship with God. And that I could receive Christ and His forgiveness and this intimate relationship through prayer. And prayer is just talking with God. That God is not so concerned with our words as He is with the attitude of our heart. And so I prayed both to receive Christ and to make Him the Lord of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the command, if we read in the New Testament, what Jesus said, the command he gave more often than anything else is simply follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we follow him, not just believe in him, not just say intellectually that we believe, but that we not just believe, but we actually seek and follow him. I believe that's where the joy and the fulfillment comes in our lives.
Oh, thanks for sharing.
Certainly in mine.
Quick follow-up on that. How does that play, being a Christian, it's important to you, your values, how does that play into your business life? How does that?
Well, the interesting thing that I did not expect when I went through this painful experience and the transition in my life was I thought it would help me to enjoy my work more, to enjoy what I did. And on that 79th development project, as you mentioned, because it was a project of passion, not just profit.
Uh-huh.
It's turned out to be greatly profitable, and it's also turned out to be the beginning of a series of new developments that we have built that have expanded into a bigger company.
Yeah.
I thought it would make us have more fun in what we did, but it also attracted extremely talented people who wanted to come to work for our company because of our new mission to inspire, impress, and improve. And our company has grown 20 times over since that time. You know, for business people, they would understand we had a pipeline of development of about $50 million a year. Now our pipeline of development is about $3.5 billion.
That's a big jump.
And we're developing all over the southeastern United States. And it's an exciting time. And if we're not winning an award for every building that we build, I feel like we failed.
Wow.
So that's part of our mission. Then we know we've inspired, impressed, and improved.
It's amazing that change in your mission statement could make that kind of impact.
Yes. I didn't expect it, and it's not what I was going for. I was trying to just decide if I was going to close the company or continue the company.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you continued. If I could ask maybe a couple of follow-up questions here, I think we have time for this. I know one of the things that was significant in your life, I know you're a pilot.
Oh, yes.
And I know it's kind of an interesting story. I read it in your book here about one of your early flight experiences. Could you share with us about that? Because it had a great impact on your life.
I'd be happy to. I do love flying. I was a student at Georgia Institute of Technology, and when I was there, I joined the flying club. And I was taking off one night to fly from Atlanta to Houston with a group of friends. And I had 6 passengers in the plane with me and a single-engine Piper. And we took off at about 11 o'clock at night. And as we got 400 feet in altitude climbing out over the trees at night, we had a catastrophic engine failure. You don't want to be flying a plane where everything suddenly gets quiet.
I agree.
It's very disturbing.
I agree.
You know what the propeller is for, by the way, on the front of the airplane?
Mm-hmm.
It's to keep the pilot cool, because when it stops, he starts to sweat.
I understand why.
Well, at 400 feet, you don't have the altitude to glide, to turn around and glide back to the airport. If you try to do that, you'll crash because you descend too fast when you turn the airplane without power. And so my only hope was to find some place to set it down. When I was a student pilot, we would practice these engine out procedures, what you would call an engine failure emergency, over and over and over again with my instructor. And I said to him one day, Tom, what happens if you lose your engine at night and you can't see a clear area to put it down? He said, well, you're going to want to turn on your landing light and your taxi light and all your electrical to look for a clear area to set the plane down. And I said, okay, but what do you do, Tom, if you're not able to see a clear space to land the plane at night? He says, you're going to want to turn off your landing light. I said, well, why would you want to turn it off? He said, because you don't want to see what's going to happen next.
That's encouraging.
Sick pilot humor.
That's encouraging there, yeah.
I remember what Woody Allen said, I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want to be there when it happens.
I've heard that quote.
Well, I ended up seeing the lights of a tractor trailer in the dark. And I said, I'll try to glide to behind that tractor trailer because that must be the interstate highway that I know is out there somewhere in the dark.
Yeah.
And I just about made it, and I turned to land behind the tractor trailer on the highway, and my lights reflected off a great big green and white highway sign. And I had to pull up to keep from crashing into the steel sign, and that used up my airspeed. And then I had to push the nose of the plane down to regain airspeed. And at that point, I had to, as we say in golf, play the ball where it lies. I had to just land it where I was, which was the rolling hills along the side of the interstate highway. What I also did not know is a guardrail came up out of the ground to keep cars from going off into the river, which was there. And so we crashed into the guardrail, and the guardrail cut into the left wing route that I had just filled the gas tank with 100-octane aviation fuel, which is very flammable, much more flammable than jet fuel. And we hit the guardrail, twisted and slid sideways, an aluminum plane on top of a steel guardrail with all the electrical on, a hot engine, sparks everywhere, and bathed in 100-octane aviation fuel, and it should have exploded.
Yeah, it should have. You're right.
But it didn't. And when we came to rest, the fuel drained downhill away from the hot engine and the electrical connections, and we survived. When we hit the guardrail, I was pulling back on the yoke to slow us down, and I whipped forward, and it broke my back. I broke my back and was paralyzed from the waist down, and that began a series of experiences where after 3 surgeries and 9 months in a body cast, I got the use of my legs back and learned to walk again.
Wow.
So, and then as soon as I got the body cast off, I went back to the airport and started my training in multi-engine aircraft.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And so now I'm a pilot in multi-engine aircraft, turboprops, jets, and just last month I got my certification as a commercial seaplane pilot.
So you still love
I
to
love
fly?
flying. I love flying.
That would tend to discourage me a little bit, I think, from the next step there.
It does make me a very safe pilot because I know that safety is not theoretical.
And that experience really impacted, obviously, your life as far as physical, but it had deeper impact. And I know you list that as one of your key points in your life.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things was, frankly, when I was paralyzed and could only get around in a wheelchair, I developed a new kind of empathy for people with handicaps.
Yeah.
Not just paralysis, but other handicaps where you want to be able to do something, but you can't. You just, no matter how much you want to walk, no matter how much you want to do something, you physically cannot do it. And I'm one of the few real estate developers that does not mind building handicap codes.
You understand that,
in my
don't
building, handicap ramps and handicap bathrooms and elevators, for handicap, because that's very real to me. I have a lot of empathy for people with handicaps because of that.
It's a great story. It's a miracle that you can move like you do today. So that's a great story. Well, Alan, this is today's podcast. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I would like to invite you to watch more videos on the Leader Impact CZ YouTube channel. You can find us on social media and Facebook and LinkedIn. Don't forget to visit our website, leaderimpact.cz, for a list of upcoming events. And I'm signing off now from the studio. My name's Terry Brown.